Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a 1v1 for you guys today. This was the quarterfinal match of the Bootcamp Tourney and I was playing against Bob Magilica. Now, like normal for these, I don't like to do the tourney games then just be on here myself, so I have with me Vietcong, who is a wonderfully skilled player and agreed to come on here last minute and help me record these. So I'm starting up with Entente, going around the side into Boris, and I have an L17K that's just looking for that early kill. Because my opponent was playing blue 85, I think. I really didn't know what to expect, but I was expecting maybe some cobras, some things like that, and we did find one. Take the shot, get out of there. So Vietcong, you want to say hello?
Hi everyone,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. And I just want to say you should have gone for the links because those carry the SAS. And you can use the Hera to kill the Cobra because they don't have guns for helicopters.
Well, this one is Veterancy 2, so I figured that was probably from the CV at Anna.
Oh.
Um,
Alright.
Part of why I dodged the dive the Cobra.
Okay. So Cobra is also a very good choice.
Yeah. I mean, I almost went for it because I was like, oh, links, let's do it. And then I moused over it in game and I saw the 2 Veterancy, and I was sitting there going, okay, that's not what I want. That's not what I think it is. So the rest of this. This opener is not something I'm super comfortable with yet, and Bob just went right down the pipe, so pretty much everything he has is right here. I have T-55s, I'm trying to get Przminski and BVPs to handle this, but then I think there's two super heavies, or quasi-super heavies, the 2 A4s in the smoke, and I was not prepared for that, so just looking at this right now, who's your money on, by the way, because I don't think I've said who wins. It's a best of 3, and I've not told you who won, so looking at the opener right now, what do you think?
As an opener, I don't bet on things that I don't certainly sure that I will win.
Okay.
So I say you still can come back from this.
Yeah, so 10 RC on the high ground, double 2A4, killing my Mechanizovna. I'm just trying to move Zalesnici over there to tank shots, and I was kind of surprised that he was reticent to engage here. I thought maybe he thought I had more over here than I did, right? And we'll get engaged over there. We'll get engaged, but in the meantime, bring up ATGM, some spam on this side just to try and make sure that he doesn't get fully around. And I did already have base defense with the spat bulb, so that does take out the links. But this is a big problem, and I wasn't really sure how to handle it. So we're gonna go MI35. These are, I believe, Proletary 90. I wanted something with decent punch, and then the T-55 scoot back and kill that K card just in the nick of time here. So let's line of sight. 1, 2, there he goes. I was very nervous about this. It was very uncomfortable.
I was wondering why don't you push Gregory instead of Boris?
So this is just it's an opener I hadn't really tried before. I was just trying to see how it did, and it's one where, at least from what I was talking about with the Mint Jellyman himself, this is something that's a little bit painful for the Blue 4 side to recover from.
I understand. I've been on the receiving end of the Jellyman push. It's not fun at all. Like once you get pushed out Boris, it's like very hard to like get back in.
Yeah, and what you'll see is I'm not comfortable doing this yet. There's definitely a learning curve here, and so I don't have the right tools in the right places. I forgot to bring an ATGM, which
I just think you spend too much. You have an AN over there, so that's fine.
Yeah, I mean we have the Sava. But my MI35 here is a little bit mismanaged. There's a K263, and that's a recipe for disaster. So, and then by the time I'm thinking about this, and I go, okay, may as well push the Specialny, push the Droog team. I don't know. It had almost been too long. I didn't really want to do it, and we've seen a bunch of SASF, some expensive pieces here, and I was kind of thinking that's going to be 80% of Bob's push. So most of my focus was on just making sure this doesn't get any farther. And then if I can be a pain in Boris, then I can be a pain in Boris, and that's fine. Like, I have an AN over here, I have Przminski over here, I have a Sava, Padobranki. There's a lot of opportunity. It's just, I don't know, I would have brought a little bit different of a composition here, I think. It could have gone a little bit better. But 2 A4s are moving up, they are killing my BVPs, and we are able to finally engage the M84AN, killing, I think anyway. Come on, shoot. Shoot. There it goes. We do kill some of his reinforcements, and that has to be a panic moment, particularly in a tournament game, right? Because you're sitting there, ooh, Thermomig. Yeah. I know better than to buy planes, but I still buy them sometimes. The only thing we kill is actually the K263, which, too little too late. So, by the way, I had a...
Don't buy planes.
Yeah, don't buy planes, I know. I buy the wrong one at the wrong time, and it actually, MI35 survived? Huh. I thought I lost it, but I think, yeah, that's the same one. I didn't buy a second.
The left side on this map is very, very weird.
Yeah.
The 3 line is where the K261, K263 is shooting at.
Right.
Just enough to block the left side on the Mi-25 when it gets stunned and like it's flying around.
So what I'm thinking though, like, this really hasn't done all that much, I think, although it has fired eight missiles, so I guess that's something. But if I had not bought that plane, if I could have gotten one of the really the heavier V-Hors and brought that up, that would have been pretty scary for the 2A4s, particularly because it's way easier for me to support on this side than it is for Bob, coming all the way from Anna, especially with this stuff getting intercepted, right? So we've killed a couple of things now. I'm not sure... Yeah, okay, we killed his Cobra with the Sava as well. So that's a fair amount of points. And then tab 71 just going up, kind of being a bit of a nuisance. I don't know what this was.
Your Piracy may be able to side shot the 2A4.
That was exactly why I moved him up there. And I also wanted that mortar, but it's not quite close enough. But I don't think he sees these yet, so it was an opportunity. Yeah, it's pretty goofy. And then more Podobranki 90 moving forward, just because I figured, you know, I need some more punch up here, and I may as well thread through the forest. If my opponent is stuck dealing with Boris and Fetter, then that might be an opportunity. In hindsight, I think it might have been a little bit of a mistake, and this was just to try, like, there's definitely a psychological aspect to this game. Big time. And the L17K was entirely an attempt to capitalize on that. So we're going all the way around, and I'm looking for that Cobra, because I can see him. So I figured, why not, you know, make a bit of a statement here if I could. I'd already had the L17K, it wasn't a new buy. And let's see what he can do here. There's the Cobra in low hover, and just then, like right before the missiles fire, was when he was even first visible. So, I can't imagine. And then, oh, here we go, 2A4s, and they're showing frontal armor, one of them, rear armor the other. And there it is.
The AN got it.
Yeah, I think so.
Bullshit. I bet he didn't even
down to one. Down to one.
Oh, okay, but that's so good because now he has to retreat back and fix the tanks anyway.
Yeah.
So it's still a win.
Right, so it still takes him out of commission, and the AN giving away his position, this is going to be a little bit challenging. I was really hoping, if that had landed, that would have killed a 2A4. Because that was the same one, which was, had one strength. Or no, actually that's the different one. So we got one there. I really wanted the second. Not able to get it, that just really hurt. Peace Rhine, and down goes the AN. But I didn't have smoke up here, and I'm not sure, like... Okay, so you tell me. Should I have pushed in from Anna? Should I have been reinforcing here instead of over in Fetter? Like, what am I...
If you push in Anna, it would be like you would be in the worst positions because it's so close to the reinforcement. So they would just like destroy everything you have here. If you just like station it here, then the enemy cannot like bring in the CVs. Or like they have to flush you out first before they can like regain Boris.
You're right, which we can already see how taxing that's been. It felt like I didn't really capitalize on this as well as I should have. Maybe a second squad of Brzezinski just as backup to the recon from the AN, which is clearly dead, an ATGM team, and that's much more flexible.
Well, since you already crossed the bridge with your transport, you may as well push your recon squad
up there.
The other side, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
For now, it's fine because you have to like stop the push into the 2+ zone, which is important.
Yeah.
And one thing that you should have done more is like buy more AN. Like you could have put an AN on the bottom left of Fedor, the forest.
Yeah, so here.
On the bottom left. Yeah, around that. So when the 2A4 push out, you could have side shot one of the 2A4.
Gotcha. Yeah, that seems like a really good placement.
Yeah.
And then we have Bob's SASF on this side moving up. I just brought in a single Podobranki squad, some Zalesnici, moving forward, trying to identify with the Zalesnici, then kill with the Podobranki and the Mi-35, which I know going after SASF with that is not great, but that was actually a fire on position, and it did get a stun, so I was pretty happy, all things considered, and it also let me take out the Peace Run with an L17K, which, world's most valuable L17K right there, man. I was very happy.
That's my favorite plans. It's the best ASF.
It's short range. Yeah, fair enough. iHawk, by the way, spotted in this section, and I knew he was there because he did kill the Thermomig, but we did spot him with Zalesnici, and I was just trying to see, I wasn't sure where that second super heavy went, So I figured may as well try and go up here, and it turns out he's still right there and he's still damaged. I just didn't have anything in place to really deal with it, and for some reason, instead of pushing my advantage, I wanted to get cap. I wanted to get more tick. And I think if that had been an ATGM plane, which I know don't buy planes, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I really wanted that kill. I couldn't quite get it, and now there's a resupply vehicle up there, so it'll be taken care of soon. I'm not sure. If I could give you the control of this side of the board right now and undo that CV buy, what would you purchase?
I would buy another AN for Gregory.
See previous statement.
And yeah, because the AN is so it's so broken on turn because you can't see it when it's fired. If you don't have recon, and then you shoot at something, it's like invisible.
Yeah, that is pretty strong. Pretty strong
yeah,
indeed.
even with the AN, you can use that to kill the tanks. That is
Gotcha.
like damage.
And this was just a bit of a probe, and then I have Zealous Nietzsche moving up, engaging with the SASF, which, I mean, they're not going to win, but he's moving him back, which is kind of what I wanted, and then I had the mortars firing, but a little bit too late. So, you know, the classic Mint Jellyman engage in mortar, not quite the right thing there. And I was just also going after whatever I'd seen up here, so Promises have pretty decent damage output, and yeah, I guess going after the mortar, 2 damage. Yeah, there's the stun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my mortars get counterfired by mortars pretty often, but I'm not so good at doing that mortar counterfire myself. And then I purchased a Plowman because it's on time. You may as well bring a Plowman, right?
Yes,
So,
that's true.
this was also pretty goofy. The Padobranchi missed their opportunity entirely. There's command infantry right here. They were dropped off by a helicopter, and I could have already been in that town, and I figured that he'd have it capped, so I didn't go in there, and it turns out there was nothing in there before the HQ section.
But I think that's understandable since you don't know if they have any fire support over there, and if you push and they have a tanks, that's just a waste of currency.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And like right here, we're gonna get the kill. There's the Vietcong that pays for, well, nearly pays for both of these Pados. And then the guns were on 5 strength. So during the game, I saw, oh, that's 5 strength. He just capped this. There it is, HQ section. That's what I need to kill, right?
Yeah.
So now we move in. And then this is still, like, I don't know. I probably should have moved back. We got a couple of transports. We got the VAB. And then this is where you really feel when you're really close to the enemy's air spawn. Because Padobranchi are moving up, and, well, Harrier. So.
Oh. Yeah, I saw you smoke, but then it's too late.
Yeah.
You should have waited like 1 second for the smoke to land.
Yeah, I probably should have. And it smokes in the wrong place, too. I should have just smoked the difference between the town directly. I don't really know why I smoked there, to be honest. Not really sure. So, I am going to go, I think, speed 2, just because this game is a slower one than some. I think we were both just trying to get the hang of where our opponent was. And particularly with these best of 3 series, right, it doesn't necessarily matter if you win the first game if you lose the next 2. So we were both just trying to get a sense of how the other person played, and that causes some slower engagements. Now this I did really like. Commandos Para are pretty valuable, 20 points. And there they go, right? So Padobranchi 90 just worth their weight in gold right here. And I felt pretty nice. I felt pretty confident. We have a lot of Gregory, nearly got the decap there. We have a fair hold on Boris. I wanted to start sending stuff into Boris. But I don't know. This is the high point of the control of the map for me on this game, right? Like, I was
From
kind
this side of the map, you have no option other than pushing Gregory, and then take the plateau in Fedor.
yeah,
That's like the conventional playstyle. The jelly push thingy is very easy to stab you in the back, because you spend too much
over
points
here.
for Boris. Yeah, and if the enemy decide to push the 2+, and they capture the 2+, it's over for you. But in this case, you are lucky because your opponent is failed in pushing the 2+, so you still have a chance. And from the map control, this game is already like over.
Yeah. I mean that is certainly true. We have decent tick. I can just cap this, which I have Veltelsky Stab that are already moving up, and then the Plowman should have been closer to try and get that kill. I'm actually not sure. I want to look at where that command infantry went. Yeah, they're right there. Oh, okay, I guess they're just constantly being healed. Yeah, map control is definitely in my favor.
In this case, in this case, you already know where's the command infantry is just by a quad stack of the reservists and drive straight down to the tower block. Yeah.
Just right down the pipe?
Yep, just drive straight down.
Huh.
Because it doesn't matter if they die, right? There's only 10 points.
That's fair. Mi-35, by the way, was going for the Leopard 2A4 because it would have hit rear armor, but AA on the high ground I should have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't know. That's the thing with so if I look back at games that I did back in October of last year, right? They're very different from how I play now. But there's still so much more about this game I have no clue about, and it really, some of these moments you can watch the replay. It's part of why I do these replays and do the commentary, because you just look at it and you go, what the hell was I thinking, right? And that's part of why I like having people on as well, is because I catch some things, but then sometimes I just have questions and I don't necessarily have the answer.
I do, because I sometimes when I do ranks, there's a point where I don't know what to do next, because I have complete my objective before, like, usually we have like a back and forth thingy, right? But sometimes the enemy like blunders, so I just complete my objective early in the game and I completely blank out. I don't know what to do next. But you always need to like find some place to push. So if you didn't encounter any enemy, just keep pushing until you see some.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing, I think, to avoid counterattacks, because otherwise your opponent, like, if you have no constant contact with them, he could be building up here, he could be building up in Boris, he could be building up in Gregory, and unless I'm engaging, I have no way to know. And that was probably a mistake here. I was a bit too passive. I have an M84 AK coming up, some Mechanizov and Pej, some BVPs, and I just figured, you know what, let's get the cap on Boris, we have a counter cap Gregory Boris, we have Feder, and then I wanted to push in here as well, and I just thought, let's tick +1, 20 minutes, right? So he has to tick +1 for 15, no, more like 18 minutes to pass me right now. That's not that far away. And if I can tick +1 for a couple more minutes, then maybe I can guarantee a draw, if not a win, even if I start all of a sudden losing pretty hard. So Rima are here, Vabs are here. I actually had to engage with the M84 AK because I didn't clear this section first. Not the smartest of ideas, but I had thought...
Why you buy a tank?
Yeah, no, it lived because it was a tank CV there, but I had thought that he would have moved the stuff back when I had Podobranki and Boris, and I don't think he did. Which was just... You know, sometimes your opponent doesn't think the same way you do, and it comes back to bite you, but we're getting out of the zone, we're repositioning, we're engaging with Mechanizovna and Proletary, a couple of pretty decent kills there too, just for cost effectiveness, and then I'm coming down and repositioning far away from where I started, right? Just to try and confuse a little bit. So there's the counter cap, back up to +1, and this was interesting. So Zalesnici killing Vabs is always a good day, but I don't know, I'm not sure what was... kind of like you said, this was sort of a little bit aimless, and I think that really hurt me, because I could have done a couple things. I could have done what you said and gotten M84AN, and then built up here, pushed him out of the forest, and then used that to leverage the plateau. And this thing still being alive this late in the game was definitely a thorn in my side later on. So, you know, I was going to push up to Feder. It turns out I had to move things over. I have an M91A Vihor here, which definitely can take that thing on pound for pound. But he's not in the right position.
Him.
Sorry?
Yeah, you out tank him right now.
Yeah.
It's just like you're not positioned. It's not the correct position where your Vihor should be, because now you have like with the tanks, you can just like go straight and like tank fight him with your smoke.
Right.
If you have an AN, then you need to like try to go for the flanks and try to avoid that big tanks.
I kept thinking he would move it. It's part of why I didn't go into attack there, and he didn't. But in hindsight, I definitely should have just gone, you know, taken all that stuff right here, secured this. It also makes me safer over on this side as well, right? Because I can get fire onto these towns, I can help clear that. And the counterattacks into Boris were pretty persistent. I really think that me having this capped really kind of was a big thorn in his side. It was something he didn't want to be true for that much longer. But Mechanizovna engaging with Commandos Para, and then we do go up onto the high ground. Maybe a little bit not wise there. And there's the 2A4. So that spot, I didn't think he'd be able to shoot through these trees. But I think there's one or two places he can. It's a little weird.
The line of sight on this map is terrible.
Yeah, so there's a Vietcong, which I couldn't see. Yep, okay, till he shoots. Now we see him, and I'm at the wrong angle, so I'm trying... The reason the V4's not moving is I wanted the T-55s up there first, so I go right behind him, and there's the shot. Swing and a miss at 94% chance, because why not? The day you need your tanks to hit, it's a day that they don't, isn't it?
I found this very weird things that Wargame do when you moving your tank and then stop it. Suddenly, it doesn't matter what accuracy it is, you always miss for some reason.
Maybe it's one of those weird Eugen coding things. But we're going up on the high ground. I have Mechanizovna, I have a T-55s. We are still getting shot at here, but I kind of figured, you know what? I was out of position here. Let's make him out of position and just ignore it and go past it. But I lost a lot of stuff trying to do that, and we do get the Humvee. So there's that kill. Back to +1. And that kind of pays for some of this, right? Because that's 110 points for the Humvee CP, isn't it?
But that push was very risky.
Yeah, it was, and it still is, right?
You could have get side shot by the 2A4.
Yeah, it was sloppy. Certainly very sloppy. In fact, the only reason I didn't get side shot is because he was shooting at my T-55s, I think. Otherwise, it was just target selection right there. L17K gets a bit greedy, and this is where the game starts to get much more sloppy on my end. Like, no reason to do that, really. Forcing the +1 tick wasn't really that necessary either. We have 14 minutes left. And then he's gotten Rima 85 around. All I have back here is a Drug team. Gregory's pretty light, and I don't have AA in the proper place. But then, because I still haven't handled that section of forest, this isn't as safe as you might think. So...
Actually, you don't need that section of the forest, because you can just go from Gregory and go onto the plateau from the Gregory side.
Yeah, but I'd always been pushed out of this, so I think he actually has... Yep, lost a Kuben 4 to direct fire. That's embarrassing. I think he has some stuff here. Yeah, Commandos Pera, Sochung Su. I'd pushed into that forest a couple times and been pushed out twice now, I think. Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm still learning on Taunt. I know people say that it's just really strong and you can't really go wrong with it, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure I can go wrong with most decks that you send my way. In fact, there I just lost the V4. Yep.
Yeah, the moment you finish with that push, you have like send it back.
Yep. Because I had no support, and even if I had backed him out, right, there's a 2A4 right there, I would have been backing into a side shot. So, just not my brightest moment, really. I mean, I did want the CV kill, that's why I did the push, but just like it was cost effective before I lost the V4, it became not cost effective as soon as I lost the V4, which, yeah. Side note, Sava, still alive. Still has 3 missiles. I think he even gets another kill before the game's over. Not really sure. But now we're just digging in, just trying to stay alive here as this game goes a little bit longer. Zalesnici, more Zalesnici, and then splitting the proms and direct firing them in 2 different locations while I get Specialny and an Mi-17. And I really like this, so I heard from Jelly that if you want to take this town, you have to kind of come over here with a helicopter and get fire on it. But I was trying the opposite of that. I was trying to just get something fire support back here and use that to kill infantry that was trying to move up and in.
Oh, that clearance was beautiful.
Oh yeah, very happy with this. I have a hard time killing things with artillery, usually. And I don't know if it's just where I point and click, but the Plowman, yeah, that fixes that problem. The Plowman and the Mar-290 both, I've had some really good luck with recently. The last time I played on Paddy Fields...
It doesn't require any skill at all, you just fire in the general direction, and that will stun everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't need like to be precision, you don't need to like think where the enemy would go.
Yeah,
to,
that's
like,
true.
Catch them on their path, just like, oh there's shit tons over here, I'm gonna just like one click and everything's done.
Yeah, fair. That's why I brought 2 of them. So I have one farther forward and I have one farther back. Different ranges, different priorities there. And the Kuben 4s were just... This was a just unforgivably stupid mistake. So I never should have pushed them up. I should have just kept them back. Yeah. Live and learn, I suppose.
Oh, your tank is so sharp side.
Yeah, he was. Optical failure, otherwise I could have maybe engaged there, but I didn't have line of sight either. Like, I don't really... This game really showed me that I have a hard time fighting in Fetter. I'm really not sure how to best take that engagement. So next time, I'm just going to do what you said. I'm going to put an AN right here and use that to engage. So, yeah, why not? 2A1, 2A4, I think there was another 2A1 as well. And there was a lot of heavy armor here I really didn't have an answer for, so if he had just kind of thrown this at me, that would have been pretty tough. Przminski can't handle that. Too many Przminski definitely can't handle that. Maybe he was worried about the Mi-35, but I don't really know. I do know this guy saved me a little bit of time on this side, so I really like this spot for helicopters. I think I'm going to just do that more, but...
Actually, he didn't push because he was worried about your gate left. Because you could have buy a gate left anytime, and then like those tanks are just like food for the gate left.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't recommend buying planes when you like try to take it, try to pushing or like try to gain ground.
Yeah, I mean, another way to think about it too, that actually Rara told me how to think about it, is when you buy a plane, it's a temporary boost, but it comes at a cost, because that boost doesn't stick around, and it interrupts your reinforcements. So if I spend 135 points on an ATGM plane, that's 135 points I don't have going through the front. So that's a couple units of infantry. It means one of the cheaper VHORs is 130, and you will feel that lack, especially if your plane is wasted. So yeah. I don't know. So I do apologize to anyone watching for a bit of the sit and stare game here. We're going up to speed 2 again, and I've seen a lot of the tourney games that are kind of like this, where people don't want to get that engagement too much. And I was just sitting here with 8 minutes left going, okay, he needs to tick +2 on me right now, right? So why do that? I had 0 incentive to fight, and that's the one thing that I kind of do fault Conquest on sometimes, is Destruction. Well, I mean, they both have different conditions, right? Conquest, if you're up a lot of points, not a lot of time left, there's no reason to really fight other than if you're already winning on points, or on kills rather. But Destruction, if you're winning on kills, that's when you don't have incentive to fight, because why would you risk engagements? So both map modes have their drawbacks, I suppose. Mechanizovna sparring with Tukjun Sa, not a good engagement for them, and he was just going around, just kind of goofy.
I would disagree with you about the destruction thing, because if you are winning on both points and kills, then you should push, because the enemy would have nothing left to defend.
Sure.
And
I think it depends on the margin.
Once you almost reach their base, that's when you stop, because they can just like sit in the base and then like defense it, like build a very heavy defense in the base.
But at that point, if you have map control, you just get way more income into them anyway.
Another problem with destruction is once you win the opener, you pretty much win the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless the enemy refuse to fight the opener, and they sit in the base and like RT you, and then we deliver slowly from the artillery.
Games like that, I would say nobody truly wins. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult. I think it also depends on the margins as well. It's like if I'm up by 200 points destruction, then I don't necessarily want to engage, because that's a very easy swing. If I'm up by 1,000 points, then yeah, I'm going for it. Because if I'm up by 1,000 points, exactly as you said, you're not catching me. Double plumbing, by the way. Yeah. Super Gallup in for the radar AA, which is not the best idea. Kurnos coming in. And this is where losing those cubes for stupid reasons definitely hurt. Cause if I had both the cubes right about there, that would be a dead Kurnos. And as it is, I'm having to chase him with an L17K. Which, yeah, not great. Very not great.
You don't have any very good air detections, which is very bad. You can only see it when it starts to drop the bomb. Like almost dropping the bomb. So.
And that's too late, so it's going to come in. By the time I react and call in a plane, it's not going to get there in time before it evacs and starts turning, gets away. This was pretty scary too, so Rima, Sochung Su, K200s, and all I have are Specialny Jednotki here. I do have more coming up. And that 1F Cobra, this is what you said earlier, line of sight on this map is a little bit goofy. I would have expected that I could see here, because these trees are pretty far ahead. As it turns out, that's line of sight blocked. Which that's aggravating. So I had to move over to the side. We do get something on there, and then just double plummet again, because why not at this point? I think their kill lists were relatively impressive. I don't quite remember, so we'll have to see. But you know, Veltelski Stab are safe and sound, and this is probably going to be, I think this was mostly the status quo for the rest of the game. Is to his credit, Bob has not given up, he's still going in, and he's using everything that he has to try and push me out of Greg. It's just that, you know, at this point we've both lost a fair number of units, and we're both pretty spread out. So he was fighting in Boris, he was fighting in Gregory, we were both fighting in Feder. Yeah, it was a lot of attrition. Double M91, by the way, and I'm kind of ashamed of what happens to these guys. Kurnos, dead, useless. Yeah. I need to get better at smoking my super heavies. But oh, just watch this. It gets worse than you think. So I'm backing up. We're in the trees. I don't stop. In the open.
Yeah, it happened to me a lot of times also. Where when I back up and I didn't know that is a bush, so I just like keep backing up until like I get to a bigger patch of woods.
And that second,
I shouldn't do that, right?
Right, like the second that you're spotting, so that they're spotting you is just too much, and those fire and forget missiles just took me out. So that was 260 points of completely useless. So you know, it's one of those things where you know, just have to do it better the next time. I should have had smoke. I should have been smoking that position. They should have not been able to see me with the Kurnos and not with the Peace Rhine for long enough. And the lack of that made this push kind of fail. If I had those two and I had the M84ANs and the T55s all together, all able to go, we would have been killing that 2A4 by now. We would have been in those woods, and it would have flipped the other way pretty hard, I think. But that is going to pretty much do it. Let's sort of speed through here as there's just about 2 minutes left, and yeah, most of it looks about like this. So, by the way, still more Tukjin Sa, still more Sochung Su, and he does finally force me out of the forest in Boris. So right at the end of the game, he actually does get a +1 tick. So we're going to end maybe 50 points, 45 points to 251 or so, which, you know, it taught me a lot, especially about what to expect during the next game. So as I said, this is a best of 3. We have now taken the first one against Bob in the quarterfinals, and well, we'll be back with you guys tomorrow with the game 2.